Hello everyone, you're watching Newegg TV and I'm Steve. Today in the studio we have a very special person from Microsoft. We have Eric. Eric, how's it going, man?
Good.
Oh, good. Let me shake your hand too and pat
All right,
you
I'll
on the
take
shoulder. So I wanted to talk today with you about, whether or not you should be buying a server pre-created, of course from Newegg, or purchasing all the components and possibly building it. So let's talk options. Clearly you can buy the servers, right?
You can.
And what do you have to say about possibly purchasing them? How would that work?
So it's nice if you don't have time to build, or you want to buy a bunch of the same thing, or you prefer the manufacturers. Newegg sells HP servers, Lenovo servers, pre-configured with an OS, supported by HP or Lenovo. So a lot of people choose to do that, and that works great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Of course, you're also going to get support through them as well,
right?
Which is awesome for anybody out there that just doesn't have the know-how or doesn't have the time really to get it done. Just let me get the hardware, I'll get the OS that comes with it, and just move right along.
Yeah, if you don't have time to keep up with all the latest trends in hardware, it's a good option.
Excellent. So of course, then there's the option of building, which is always my favorite.
You seem excited.
Yes, I always get excited when we start talking about building computers, especially servers, because I actually have very little experience with that, and I would love to do more. So maybe something in the future we can do. I would love to do something like that. So,
let's do it.
Okay. Okay, so aside from that, I actually have a quick question about that. So let's say I build a computer using standard PC components versus maybe like server grade components. Am I going to be okay just throwing Windows Server 2012 R2 on my desktop system instead?
So you could do that.
Okay.
And it's very tempting to do that because you already have the hardware. I get that. It's probably not the best idea, depending on what you want to use that server for. If you just want to play around, sure. But if you wanted to do some real work and have a server that stayed up all the time for many years, you wouldn't want to do that.
You're talking about reliability at this point, right?
Exactly.
I mean, the hardware in general for a server system is typically, what, 24-hour usage? It's usually graded for something like that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You can't tell people your website goes down at 5 o'clock and comes back up at 9. It's got to be up all the time.
We're closed at 5 o'clock. Don't you guys understand that?
Email always has to work. Databases always have to work. Websites always have to work. Servers must stay up.
That's a really good point, because we do know the difference, obviously, when we're using our computers at home. It's just like, oh yeah, we turn them off, we turn them on. Or at work, right? Your workstation's on for 8 hours at a time or 9 hours at a time. But that's what those components were rated for. They were not rated for 24-hour usage. So.
And think about, if your PC happens to reboot, it sucks, but you're okay. If your server reboots, you've got people coming at you from all over the place. It's a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point too. So let's talk a little bit about software, and specifically System Builder OS. So we have, what, 4 different versions of Server 2012?
We have 4 different editions of Windows Server 2012 R2. We have Foundation, Essentials, Standard, and Datacenter.
Okay.
Okay. So Foundation is the low-end OS. It's only sold by the OEMs like HP, Lenovo, Dell. It's only for 15 users and it has no simplified management, so it's not the best choice for most small businesses.
Okay.
The best choice for most small businesses is the Essentials edition. That's what we talked about before. That has the simplified management, supports up to 25 users. But by far the most popular edition is just Standard Edition. Standard Edition gives you unlimited users. You just buy a CAL for each user, a client access license.
Okay.
And it has all the features, as many users as you can handle. And it comes with 2 virtual machines.
Okay.
So if you want to put virtual machines on your Standard Edition, you can put 2 of those.
Okay.
Datacenter Edition is for people that really want to squeeze the most out of their hardware. It gives you unlimited virtual machines on that physical server.
Nice. So really you could just build the most amazing hardware and try and stuff as many virtual machines in there as possible, right? So rack space may be an issue, no problem.
You're getting excited again, aren't you?
I am,
Yeah.
I am. So I just need to know now, what should we be designing our systems to do? These servers obviously have specific workloads that we should be designing them for. Can you speak to us a little bit about the different types?
Yeah, that's exactly right. All servers are not created equal. They do different things. If your server is a database server, and a lot of them are, you need a lot of storage. It's almost always the bottleneck. So the disks just can't spin fast enough to keep up with all the requests. So focus on storage and RAM if you're building a database server.
So high RPM SCSI drives or something to the
Yep,
effect, right?
7200 SATAs or 10K SCSI if you need that. Yeah,
Okay.
and if you have the money, that's right. If you're doing virtualization and you're trying to pack a bunch of virtual machines on a server, you need a lot of RAM. You need a lot of NICs for all the data coming in and out. If you're building a web server, you probably need a lot of CPU. So it's important to think through what's the existing bottleneck, and you can look at your old Windows Server 2003 server. You know who you are. Get off Windows Server 2003. You can think through the constraints that you're having right now, and just ensure that you address those constraints with the new hardware.
That's fantastic, actually. That's a good point, because right now, if you're on 2003 and you're looking to upgrade, I mean, why not tailor to exactly what your business needs? I mean, you might want to have the 2 virtual machines anyways and split up your server into 2 different separate components, right? I mean,
sure.
Virtual components, but yeah.
Sure.
All right, Eric, so can you give me some of the differentiators maybe between the different editions of Server 2012 R2?
Sure. So if you have less than 25 users, Essentials is probably going to be your best bet. But if you need remote access, like a full remote desktop services where you're running a desktop OS on the server, Essentials is not going to work for you. You really need Standard or Datacenter Edition for that.
Okay.
Standard for everything else, unless you are virtualizing heavily, then you need Datacenter, right? If you're going to put more than just a handful of virtual machines on a server and really squeeze out everything, Datacenter is going to be the cost-effective way for you to do that.
Awesome. So just build the server to handle as many virtual machines you possibly can throw at it, right?
That's right, and Datacenter will give you unlimited licenses for that. So as many virtual machines that will run on that hardware as you can fit, you'll be licensed for.
Excellent.
Yep.
So I'm going to hit you with a hard question then, because anybody out there that's running Windows 2003, or in fact, it's a Windows Server 2003, I should say, but anybody out there that's currently running older hardware or software, they're always going to have the same question to you, or maybe the same issue that they need to overcome, which is, how am I going to support my legacy app or my legacy printer or my old school hardware that I absolutely can't live without? It's the cornerstone of my business. What do you have to say to those users?
Yeah, that's a tough question. If you have old software that requires Windows Server 2003, you need a plan to move off of that, like we talked about. You can stay on it temporarily by virtualizing it, but like we talked about, it's really a bad idea because it's not going to be supported. So anything on that server is going to be at risk. And if this application, this data, this hardware is so important to you, you can't really afford to run it on an operating system that's not supported in the long term.
Right.
So really you're going to have to move off of that old hardware or old software onto a new version of that. There is one other option that you could use. There's a company called AppZero that allows you to virtualize the application and not the OS. You could check that out as a possible solution, but really there aren't any other solutions that I'm aware of.
Okay, so there might even be other software companies out there like AppZero that would do something like this, and possibly even virtualizing the drivers too. I mean,
yes.
Okay. Wow, well, that's fantastic. Eric, thank you for all the solutions
Sure.
you brought to our attention today. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys also for watching. Don't forget, if you like videos just like this one, to check out our YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/Newegg. And until then, we will see you guys very soon.